Born to nap, Tumi and the curse of comfort. In the quiet village of Aitoro, where roosters doubled as alarm clocks and goats had more drama than a soap opera, a baby girl was born on a warm Tuesday afternoon. The air smelled of palm oil and new beginnings. She arrived into the world with a yawn instead of a cry, stretched her little hands like she was about to hit snooze, and promptly fell asleep in the midwife's arms. The midwife, a woman named Madame Aleba with 30 years of baby catching under her wrapper, squinted at the sleepy child and whispered, "Oh, this one is different." Mama Kiki, the new mother and proud owner of 7 headscarves and 0 patience, sat up despite the fatigue of labor. "Different how?" she asked, her voice trembling with curiosity. Madame Aleba gently laid the baby on a cloth and said, "This one carries the spirit of the feather." "The spirit of what?" "The spirit of the feather," she repeated, as if it were the title of an epic movie. "It means she will float through life, lightly, silently, always sleepy." Mama Kiki blinked. "So she won't cry much?" "She won't cry. She won't shout. She will just nap." Mama Kiki's first instinct was to scream hallelujah. A quiet baby. That sounded like heaven. While her neighbors' babies were breaking sound barriers, hers would be peacefully dreaming of milk and fluffy clouds. What could go wrong? Oh, sweet, unsuspecting Mama Kiki. They named her Tumi, meaning rest in their dialect. The name wasn't chosen for beauty, it was prophetic. At just 3 days old, Tumi had already slept through an all-night naming ceremony, complete with talking drums and 2 uncles fighting over chicken wings. At 1 week, she barely opened her eyes when a cow wandered into the house. And by the time she turned 3 months, Tumi's favorite activity was doing absolutely nothing. "She doesn't like noise," Mama Kiki would tell guests proudly. "She is a calm baby." "Calm?" Auntie Bola once said, raising an eyebrow. "She hasn't blinked in 45 minutes. Are you sure she's not expired?" But sure enough, Tumi would yawn delicately and stretch one pudgy leg like a princess in a Disney nap montage. Then, back to dreamland. As the years passed, the legend of Tumi the sleeper grew. At birthday parties, other kids would scream over balloons and candy. "Tumi!" She would sneak under the table, curl up on a throw pillow, and sleep through her own cake cutting. One time, a DJ called her up to dance during Children's Day. "Tumi! Tumi! Come and dance, oh," he shouted into the mic. She stood up, walked to the center of the crowd, and lay down. Right there on stage. She turned her head to one side and was out before the music changed. The crowd was confused. The MC was stunned. But the cameraman, he captured gold that went viral in 5 villages. It wasn't long before she earned nicknames like Queen Slumber, the Silent Yawner, Madame Doze Off, Tumi the Time Traveler, because she always seemed to jump to the next day. Even the goats in the compound learned to tiptoe around her. Mama Kiki, however, was not laughing. She tried everything to activate her daughter. First came cold water buckets in the morning. Tumi would yelp, wake up for 3 minutes, then sleep again, this time soaked and shivering. Then came pepper under the nose. Tumi sneezed, scratched her nose, and declared, "I think I'm allergic to being awake." Next, Mama Kiki bought the loudest alarm clock the market had to offer. It screamed like a possessed chicken. On its first day, it woke the neighbor's dog, knocked down a wall clock, and still Tumi snored through it like it was lullaby jazz. School was a whole different headache. In class, she slept with her head on the desk, mouth slightly open, and a smile on her face like she was dreaming of fried plantain. Her classmates once used red marker to draw eyebrows on her forehead that connected like a highway. When her teacher, Mrs. Agbage, caught her snoring mid-math lesson, she slammed the desk and shouted, "Tumi! Wake up! What are you doing?" Tumi jumped up, dazed. "I was I was meditating on the number 7, Ma. Your mouth was open. You were drooling. Yes, Ma, that is the overflow of wisdom. The class roared with laughter. Sunday school was worse. She once fell asleep in the choir while holding a tambourine. The tambourine slipped and hit the keyboardist, who hit the wrong key, which made the pastor jump and spill his anointing oil. The elders summoned Mama Kiki. This child, the head deacon said, tapping his cane. She is either possessed by the spirit of sloth or she is the reincarnation of a tortoise. I've tried, Mama Kiki sighed, tying her scarf tighter. I've tried drums, herbs, prayers, even threats. She still sleeps. The elders advised the deliverance service. Mama Kiki agreed. The next Friday night, she dragged Tumi to an all-night vigil. Halfway through the opening worship, Tumi was gone, snoring in the front row. Even the pastor gave up. At home, things didn't get better. Chores. Tumi would start sweeping and end up asleep on the broom. Water fetching. She once slept standing with a bucket on her head like a decorative statue. Mama Kiki was close to tears. Maybe I gave birth to a mattress, she once shouted, stomping into the backyard. Tumi heard her but didn't react. She was on the veranda, asleep, sitting upright, holding a bowl of okra. But here's the strangest part, people still liked Tumi. Despite her sleepy habits, she had a sweet nature, a beautiful smile, and a voice so gentle it made babies stop crying, if she happened to be awake, that is. Everyone said, she's a good girl, just lazy. Mama Kiki didn't agree. Lazy, she would shout. Lazy is when you sleep after work. Tumi sleeps before, during, and after work. She can outsleep a sloth. But Tumi didn't mind. She once said, I'm not lazy, I'm energy efficient. As she reached her late teens, rumors of her gift reached outside villages. People would visit just to see the girl who could sleep on a moving bicycle, true story, once during a dare. But no one, not her mother, not the teachers, not the elders, could change her. Tumi, the girl with the spirit of the feather, was committed to her calling. What no one knew, however, was that one day, her sleep would cost her everything. And the only way to wake up would be to fight for her life. When a night owl meets a daydreamer. If Tumi had a spiritual twin, it was a mattress. By her early 20s, her reputation had gone viral, well, as viral as stories can go in a village with one generator and no Wi-Fi. She was still beautiful, still sweet, and still sleeping like a professional nap athlete. Most young men admired her from afar but ran faster than Usain Bolt once they heard the tales of her sleeping ministry. Except one man. His name. Kwame the tailor. Kwame wasn't just any tailor. No. He was the tailor of time. He stitched his clients' clothes and their trust, never missed a deadline, and was known to open his shop at exactly 6 a.m., not a minute earlier or later. Some villagers joked that if you watched his shop door, you could set your clock by it. He ironed with precision, spoke with purpose, and lived like his life came with a spreadsheet. And then he met Tumi. It happened one sunny afternoon. Kwame had just returned from picking fabric from a client's house. He walked past his bench, placed his sewing kit down, and noticed something odd. His bench was snoring. There she was, Tumi the sleeping wonder, curled up like a warm plantain puff, using a ball of ankara as a pillow and his measuring tape as a blanket. Her mouth was slightly open, and a tiny trail of drool sparkled like morning dew. Kwame raised an eyebrow. Most people would scream, "Oh! Who is this wild woman defiling my bench?" But Kwame chuckled. "This must be Tumi," he said aloud, folding his arms. "The living legend. Queen of the midday nap." Instead of waking her, Kwame sat quietly on the other side of the bench and waited. 20 minutes passed. A fly landed on her nose. She scratched it, while still asleep. He was both impressed and mildly concerned. Eventually, she stirred, stretched like a lazy kitten, and opened her eyes halfway. "Oh. Sorry," she mumbled, realizing she was not on her usual home turf. Kwame smiled. "Comfortable?" She blinked at him. "Your bench is softer than my own bed." "Must be the foam I added under the seat," he said proudly. She nodded, yawned, then, and this was the real surprise, smiled. It was a sleepy, lopsided smile, but it melted something in Kwame. From that day on, he always left the bench clear in the afternoon. Just in case. Their friendship grew in strange and adorable ways. Kwame would offer her groundnuts. She'd fall asleep chewing. He'd tell her stories about tailoring mistakes and customers who wanted 5 outfits for the price of 1. She'd laugh gently, nod off mid-laugh, then wake up 5 minutes later and ask, "Wait, what happened to the trouser?" One day, she helped him hold fabric while he cut. 10 seconds in, she leaned on the table and passed out. He gently removed the fabric from under her arm and let her sleep while he finished the design. It was weird. It was charming. It was them. Of course, the village gossips had opinions. "Kwame, you are too neat for this, your sleeping beauty," one old tailor hissed over a pot of boiling starch. "That girl can sleep through a thunderstorm and market day," another man said. "She will forget your wedding day. She's soft. She won't survive marriage. She will sleep through life," said an elder auntie, dramatically fanning herself. But Kwame didn't care. He saw something in Tumi that no one else did: peace. She wasn't in a rush. She didn't gossip. She wasn't obsessed with status. She was calm. And in a noisy world full of deadlines and pressure, that peace was louder than any alarm clock. So one day, he did the unimaginable. He proposed. It was during a walk in the late evening. Tumi was chewing on boiled groundnuts and nodding along to his story about a wedding suit he was stitching. "Marriage is serious business," he said. "It's work, commitment, and partnership." She said, mouth full of knots. "I think we'd make a good team." Tumi squinted at him. "Me and you?" "Yes." She blinked. "Like tailoring partners?" "No," he chuckled. "Life partners." Tumi stopped chewing. Then slowly, sleepily, she smiled. "Ihen. You want to marry me?" "Yes." She popped another groundnut into her mouth. "Well, okay. But I snore sometimes. I'll learn to sleep with earplugs. You'll need coffee." "Lots of it." "I drink tea, but I'll upgrade." She shrugged and extended her hand. "Deal." They shook on it. It was the most Tumi engagement ever. Mama Kiki, however, nearly fainted. "You want to do what?" she asked, holding on to the edge of the sofa. "Marry Tumi," Kwame repeated. She can't even remember her own birthday. She once tried to iron plantain because she was sleepy while cooking. "I love her," Kwame said simply. "You love her now. Wait until she sleeps through your wedding night." "Mama, please." Mama Kiki shook her head like a faulty generator fan. "This girl doesn't need marriage. She needs medical study." But the marriage went on. The wedding was beautiful. Tumi wore a soft lavender dress. She smiled through the entire ceremony, though some swear she napped briefly during the vows and had to be nudged awake by her bridesmaid. Kwame beamed the entire time. Even the MC joked, "Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here to witness the union of Mr. Responsibility and Madam Rest in Peace." The crowd roared. The first few weeks of marriage surprised everyone. Tumi tried. She really tried. She set alarms. She prepped breakfast. She even swept at 5 a.m. one morning. Kwame returned home to find the living room mopped and Tumi humming while peeling yams. "You're glowing," he said, kissing her forehead. "I'm trying," she replied. And she was. She wanted to prove the doubters wrong. Wanted to show her mother that she wasn't just a pillow in human form. But old habits die hard. The slide began slowly. First, it was a nap that turned into a burnt stew. Then, she forgot to iron Kwame's agbada for his cousin's naming ceremony. Then came the day she went to sweep, and fell asleep holding the broom mid-sweep. Kwame came home and found her curled next to a bucket with the mop still in her hand like a sword. "Tumi," he whispered, shaking her gently. She opened one eye. "Oh, you're home. I just finished mopping." He looked around. The floor was dry. Dusty. "You mopped where, exactly?" "In my dream. I did it in my dream." Kwame sighed a lot after that. But he loved her. So he continued adjusting, shifting his expectations, doing most of the work, and accepting her flaws. Until one morning, she shook him awake and whispered, "Kwame, I think I'm pregnant." He sat up, shocked. "Are you sure?" She nodded. "I dreamed of holding a baby with your head." "Why my head?" "Because dreams are strange." A week later, a test confirmed it. Tumi was going to be a mother. Kwame's eyes watered with joy. Tumi's eyes watered with sleep. But what neither of them knew was that this baby would be the ultimate test. Because when sleep meets responsibility, only one wins. A cradle and a crisis. When baby Laura arrived, the village of Ayatoro rejoiced. The tailor and the napper had produced a child, a soft-cheeked, wide-eyed girl with the tiniest toes and lungs that could summon thunder. She was the kind of baby that cried when hungry, cried when wet, cried when you looked at her the wrong way. Which, of course, meant one thing. Tumi was in trouble. The night Laura was born, the midwife handed her to Tumi with a proud smile. "She's healthy. Strong lungs. Good weight." Tumi blinked at her baby, nodded once, and yawned so hard the midwife nearly dropped the child. The midwife frowned. "My dear, wake up. You just became a mother." Tumi mumbled, "I'm awake inside." But she was not. Not mentally. Not emotionally. Certainly not physically. As the days passed, motherhood became a battlefield. But Tumi was missing in action, emotionally deployed to dreamland. Baby Bottle Exhibit A, the feed fail formula. The first major incident happened during a 2 a.m. feeding. Baby Lara's wail sliced through the silence like a machete through dry grass. Kwame shook Tumi, whispering, "Honey, the baby is hungry." Tumi stirred. "She just wants to vibe," she mumbled. "What?" "She's communicating." Kwame placed the baby in her arms. Tumi opened one eye, blinked twice, and put the bottle in her own mouth. Kwame yanked it away. "That's the baby's." "Oops," Tumi said, already dozing. Soap Exhibit B, Bath Time Blunder. One sunny afternoon, Kwame walked into a very suspicious smell in the kitchen. "Something burning?" he asked. Tumi waved the ladle lazily over a pot on the stove. "Just two." He peered in. "Why is it bubbling, white?" She blinked. "I added the cream." "What cream?" "The baby cream. That cocoa butter one." "I thought it was condensed milk." Kwame stared at the pot. Then at her. "You put baby lotion in the goat meat stew." "I was multitasking," she shrugged, and walked away, straight into the wall. Cooked Rice Exhibit C, Baby on the Loose. As the weeks rolled on, baby Laura grew stronger, louder, and more mobile. She crawled like a champion and had the grip strength of a mechanic. Meanwhile, Tumi's sleep addiction seemed to worsen with every diaper change. One day, Kwame returned from the tailor's market sweaty and hopeful, holding a bag of fresh lace fabric and akara buns. "Baby. Tumi," he called, entering the compound. He heard a faint murmur from the goat pen. He paused. Why do the goats sound alarmed? He walked closer, and then he froze. There, in the middle of the pen, was baby Laura. Covered in hay. One goat licking her forehead. Another chewing on her bib. Kwame panicked. "Laura!" The goats jumped back. Laura giggled. He scooped her up, heart racing, and stormed into the house. And what did he find? Tumi. Curled up in a kitchen cabinet with a spatula as her pillow, snoring softly like a contented cat. "Tumi," he yelled. She sat up, hit her head on the cabinet frame, and blinked. Is it dinner time?" Kwame stood there, holding Laura, whose diaper was now also mysteriously on backwards, and his voice cracked. She was in the goat pen. The goat pen. Tumi scratched her head. Oh. Maybe she followed them to eat. Tumi. Collision the ultimatum. That night, Kwame didn't eat dinner. He didn't speak. He just sat on the edge of the bed, looking like a man whose heart had gone on a journey and left his body behind. Tumi approached him with a smile, holding a biscuit and trying to be cute. He looked up slowly. "Tumi, if you sleep one more time while this child is awake and moving, you will go back to your mother's house." Tumi gasped, dramatic as ever. "But I'm trying, Kwame." "You're not. You're snoring." She dropped the biscuit. "One more chance," she whispered. "Please." He nodded slowly. "One more chance." But fate, as usual, had other plans. Hatching-chick the night of terror. It started like any other night. Tumi fed the baby, rocked her, even sang a lullaby that was more yawn than tune. The baby slept. Tumi looked proud. Kwame finally allowed himself to smile. "Good night," he said. "Night night," she whispered back. Then she yawned. Long, loud. Olympic level yawn. Kwame raised one eyebrow. "I'm just stretching," she assured him, already tucking herself in. But by 2 a.m. the silence in the house was too quiet. No crying. No snoring. No anything. Kwame got up to check. He walked to the crib. Empty. "Laura," he called, fear crawling up his spine. No answer. He checked the living room. Kitchen. Bathroom. Nothing. Now he was panicking. "Tumi. Wake up. Laura is missing." Tumi sat up like someone in a horror movie. "Oh. She was beside me just now." "No, she wasn't." They ran outside, shouting like banshees. "Laura. Baby. Please, anyone." And then, a tiny giggle. It came from the next compound, the neighbor's chicken coop. They sprinted toward it, hearts in their throats. And there she was. Baby Laura. Sitting in the middle of a dozen terrified chickens, laughing, feathers in her hair like she'd joined a cult. She had somehow pushed open the back gate, crawled through the bushes, and entered poultry paradise. Just as a chicken lifted its leg to peck her fingers, Kwame dove like Super Eagles goalkeeper and grabbed her. "Tumi," he shouted. She arrived, panting and barefoot. Jesus! What if she got hurt? Kwame held Laura tight. "Go inside," he said coldly. But now, the breaking point. The next morning, Tumi found a small bag by the door. Inside was a wrapper, toothbrush, and a half-eaten packet of cabin biscuits. "Kwame," she said, confused. He stood there with folded arms. "I've tried. I know. And I'm sorry. But no. No more sorry. You almost lost our daughter. You sleep through everything, warnings, wails, wake-up calls. But I'll do better. You said that last week. And the week before. And the week before that. She sank to her knees. Please, Kwame. Don't send me away. He looked away. I'm not sending you with the baby. Her eyes widened. Wait, what? You will go. Alone. She's safer here. But I'm her mother. And I'm her father. And at least I stay awake. She burst into tears. I'll change. I promise. I'll chew cola nut, drink bitter leaf, anything. He said nothing. Just open the door. Go to your mother's house. Sleep as much as you want. But not here. And with that, Tumi the sleeper became Tumi the ex-wife. She walked down the road in shame, dragging her bag behind her. Birds chirped. A dog barked. Someone's radio played Fuji music in the distance. But in Tumi's ears, only silence. For the first time in her life, sleep wouldn't come. The sun hadn't even fully risen when Tumi arrived at her mother's compound, dragging her bag and her broken heart like a ghost on NYSC leave. Her wrapper was slipping, her scarf was sideways, and her eyes had bags heavier than Mama Soda's Sunday soup pot. She knocked gently on the gate. Knock knock. A voice boomed from inside. Who is disturbing my early morning peace? It's me. Tumi, she whispered. Mama Kiki opened the gate, hands on hips, headscarf tighter than her patience. She squinted at her daughter. Oh. You came with sleep again. No, Mama. I came with regret. Oh, good. Regret is welcome. But sleep? Not in this house. Tumi sniffled. Please. Just one night. I've nowhere else to go. Mama Kiki folded her arms. This is not a hotel for sleepers. I run a ministry of motion here. Mama, I've changed. You've changed wrapper, yes. But have you changed spirit? I'm awake now. Mama Kiki narrowed her eyes. Let me guess, you sleepwalked here. Tumi said nothing. She stood in silence, the humiliation thicker than her morning breath. With a deep sigh, Mama Kiki shut the gate. Bam! Tumi stood outside, blinking slowly like someone whose life was buffering. With nowhere to go, she walked down the street like a rejected contestant on a reality show. Eventually, she found a small wooden bench near a buka, roadside food joint, where the smell of fried fish and disappointment filled the air. She lay down, wrapping herself with her scarf, thinking at least she'd find comfort in what she knew best. Sleep. But for the first time in her life, sleep refused to come. The mosquitoes formed a choir. Her stomach growled like a talking drum. The bench was hard. Her conscience was harder. She twisted left. Turned right. Regretted everything. Even her name. Tumi, she whispered to herself. You've tumbled. At 3 a.m., she sat up and shouted, God, if this is a lesson, I have learned it all. You can stop the episode now. A cat hissed in agreement. By morning, she looked like a cartoon character that had fought with both thunder and breakfast. But as the sun rose, something stirred inside her. Not hunger. Determination. She passed a signboard on the wall of a nearby compound that read, Wanted, night security guard, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., strictly and no sleeping. She chuckled to herself. God, are you mocking me, or mentoring me? Out of options, she knocked. A large man with a stomach like a drum opened the gate. Yes. I saw the sign. I want to apply. He looked her up and down like expired puff-puff. You. Yes, sir. You that look like breeze can blow you away. I can do it. I need to. He sniffed. You're not one of those girls that sleep on duty, eh? Toomey inhaled. Sir, if I sleep, fire me. Arrest me. Turn me into stew. He blinked. Okay then. Come in. After a 3-minute interview, which mostly consisted of, you sure say you no go sleep, she was given a flashlight from 1992. A whistle that sounded like a dying chicken. And a shirt with the words, "No dozing zone," printed across the back. Her first night on duty. Chaos. By 9 p.m., she was humming. By 10 p.m., pacing. By 11 p.m., she was chewing bitter cola like it owed her money. Midnight struck. Her knees trembled. Her eyelids fluttered with gravity. She chewed a stick of raw pepper. Eyaho. Tears streamed down her cheeks. But I'm awake, she shouted into the void. By 1 a.m., she was singing hymns like a Pentecostal DJ. By 2 a.m., she was slapping her own cheeks. By 3 a.m., she put her feet in a bucket of cold water. By 4 a.m., she was yelling inspirational quotes at herself. You will not die here. Your baby is worth more than nap. This is your revenge on sleep. By 5:55 a.m., the manager opened the gate and found her dancing azonto to a tune that only existed in her head. He nodded. She might just make it. Flex biceps, medium back, skin tone, the transformation begins. Weeks passed. Toomey did not sleep. She stood guard every night. Rain. She stood. Mosquitoes. She fought them like Mortal Kombat. Her body changed. She lost weight. Her skin was darker. Her cheeks less round. But her eyes. Sharp. Alert. Alive. She began to see life clearly for the first time. No fog. No snoozing. Just raw, unfiltered reality. By her second month, she was earning her pay and saving every coin. She also started waking up early, even on her off days, out of habit. She swept the compound. Helped fetch water. Washed her neighbor's child when the mother was sick. Taught kids how to recite times tables. Greeted elders before they even opened their mouth. The villagers stared. Is that Toomey? The one who used to sleep while eating yam. Why is she jogging at 6 a.m.? Toomey were used to snore louder than the village generator. Toomey became a legend again, but this time for the right reasons. No longer queen slumber. Now. Toomey the tireless. She still missed her daughter. Cried quietly when she saw babies. Whispered Laura into the breeze each night. But now, she was preparing. One evening, after locking the poultry farm gate, she sat under a mango tree and wrote a letter in her journal. Dear Sleep. We've had a good run. But you cost me too much. I'm awake now, not just in body, but in spirit. And I won't rest until I earn my baby back. Signed. Your former queen. Toomey. She woke up to life. It had been 3 months since Toomey the sleeper had become Toomey the soldier of no sleep, and in that time, she had experienced every flavor of hardship, and none of them were relaxing. No more soft beds. No more slow yawns. No more naps with planting dreams. Instead, she had earned cracked heels, calloused hands, and a sense of responsibility sharper than a pepper soup spoon. Now, she stood at the iron gate of Kwame's house, heart pounding like a Fuji drum. She took a deep breath, adjusted the plastic bag in her hand, and whispered to herself, we rise by lifting alarms. Then she knocked. Knock, knock, knock. The door creaked open slowly. Kwame appeared. Same gentle eyes. Same frown that said, I love you, but I'm traumatized. He folded his arms. What are you doing here? I came to reclaim my position, she said boldly. He raised a brow. As what? Minister of Sleep Affairs. No. As a mother. A wife. A woman who's done sleeping on her blessings. He blinked. Okay, that was new. She pulled out items from the bag like she was presenting a court case. Her night watch ID card. A set of baby clothes and shoes, bought with her salary. A full flask of fresh egusi soup, cooked at 6 a.m., no burns, no soap mistakes, no lotion. Kwame looked from the ID to the soup. Then to her. You're standing straighter, he said. I'm stronger now. No yawn. I retired it. Kwame sniffed the soup cautiously. This doesn't smell like hair cream. She nodded proudly. Because I was fully conscious when I made it. He stepped aside. Come in. She entered the house with the gait of a general reporting for duty. The floor was cleaner than she remembered. The baby's toys were neatly stacked. And then she saw her. Lara. Her chubby cheeks had grown chubbier. Her eyes brighter. And when Lara saw her mother, she squealed with joy and reached out, giggling like a baby who had just seen a dancing chicken. Tumi's heart broke open like a ripe pawpaw. She scooped Lara up and spun her gently, tears slipping down her face. My Juju, my baby tomato, my little snoring partner, she whispered. Lara patted her nose. Kwame watched the moment silently, unsure if he wanted to smile or build a firewall of doubt. The next few days were a series of secret exams. Kwame gave her silent test. He accidentally left the baby's diapers under the sink. He forgot to charge the blender, forcing her to mash food by hand. He even faked a stomachache to see if she could handle breakfast, lunch, and baby duty solo. To his shock, she passed. With distinction. She was awake before the sun. She swept not just the house, but the front porch and neighbor's corner. She bathed Lara with care, sang lullabies that didn't drift off halfway, and even rocked the baby to sleep without sleeping herself. When Kwame found her reading bedtime stories while stirring the soup simultaneously, he whispered, "Who trained you, Navy SEALs?" Tumi just smiled. Life. Life trained me. One morning, the front gate clanged open. Mama Kiki entered, holding a basket of yams and judgment. I came to greet my granddaughter, she announced, stepping in like a royal inspector. She expected chaos. Instead, she saw Tumi. Wide awake, in jogging clothes, sweeping the compound while humming Blessed Assurance. Mama Kiki paused, blinked, and muttered, "Maya is deceiving me." Lara crawled over giggling. Mama. Tumi picked her up and kissed her cheek. Oh. So this is not a movie. Mama Kiki gasped. Kwame appeared, holding his car keys. Morning, Mama. Tumi is sweeping. Yes. And she's coherent. Yes. And she cooked 3 times this week. No lotion. No accidents. Mama Kiki dropped the yam basket. Holy Jehovah. That night, Kwame sat beside Tumi on the couch as Laura slept peacefully in her cot. He turned to her. I was waiting for you to relapse. I wanted to. Trust me, she laughed. But every time I close my eyes for too long, I remember the day I nearly lost Laura. That moment rewinded me. He held her hand. I'm proud of you. You'd be. I fought sleep and won. You also fought for us. I wasn't just waking up from naps, Kwame. I was waking up from foolishness. As the house dimmed into night, the couple sat quietly, basking in a peace they'd earned and not just wished for. Tumi tiptoed to Lara's cot, gently stroked her baby's hair, and whispered, "Once upon a time, there was a girl who loved sleep more than life. But then life taught her how to stay awake." Lara smiled in her sleep. Tumi smiled back. And for the first time in a long time, she stayed awake, while her baby drifted into dreams. The end.